Hello and welcome to the Creature Club podcast, a podcast where I and my co-host go through the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual alphabetically. I am one of your hosts, Tim, and I am joined by the merciless Mikey DC.
Hello, I am Mikey DC.
And the dastardly Daniel White. I'll give myself I'm terrible Tim Porter, so...
Oh yeah, there you go. That's good.
There you go. Nice.
I didn't feel equipped to follow up with Mikey singing, so I was like, I gotta do something else, you know.
And I gave you the option of like the evil thing, so I think you went well with it. That was good work. Good job, everyone.
Yeah, good job, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Tune in if you like this, obviously.
So this week we are jumping into the Fs. Going to be effing and blinding left and right. And we're starting off...
Hey, Tim.
Yes?
Hey, Tim. F you.
Oh, my God.
Why would you...
I'm so sorry.
Why would you say that?
I'm so sorry, Tim. I was making a funny. I was making a funny, Tim. Tim, I'm sorry.
I know it was a joke, but...
Come here, Tim. Let me give you a big hug. Let me give you a big hug here in the studio, in the Creature Club studio. There we go.
Oh, I feel better.
Oh, the producer's shaking his head. Mike, you're going to get words after this recording.
Yeah.
Stop the recording. I've broken down in tears.
And welcome back to recording. We just took a hour-long HR meeting in the Creature Club company.
The Creature Club Tower.
Where I had to get an entire lecture about not swearing at co-workers, and I apologize, and please don't cancel me.
I think the only thing I'm a bit frustrated by is that I had to sit in for the whole meeting. And they were like, oh, this is your lunch break too. And I was like, but wait. So
you were a witness to it. You were there.
Producer doesn't like that either. I'm going to get words after this one. Okay.
Well, I'm not sorry about that, Dan.
Oh,
sorry about everything else.
Interesting. Anyway, so today we're doing the first of the Fs, the Faerie Dragon.
Ooh.
Faerie Dragon.
Woohoo!
Wahoo! I'm a big fan of the old dragons, so having a little break from the classic dragons that we spent an entire year...
Have we talked about dragons before in this podcast? Did we do them? Or
I think they came up in a treasure trove when we talked about the Arrow of Dragon Slaying, but I don't think we've done any episodes on them.
I'm the keeper of the memory, but I have it locked away. So I know that we did it, but I don't remember any of it. I will never unlock that box again, but I know we did it.
Keeper of the memory. That's a good D&D hook, you know? That's a good D&D character, keeper of the memory. And then you have memories and need to keep them to yourself, and they're powerful. You kind of use memory-based attacks.
Or like in the first 2 seasons, this character, they gave you a backstory, but then in the 3rd season, they ran out of backstories. So one of them turns out to be a keeper of memory, and they have their memory unlocked. So then they're like, oh my God, I have all this other backstory.
I like that. That's good.
So that's me.
And the viewers are looking at the name of this podcast, and they see Faerie Dragon, and they're tapping their feet as we are talking. But yes, no, Faerie Dragon, the first of the Fs. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say what it looks like for the folks at home. It's a little dragon.
Go for it.
It's like a fairy dragon.
There you go.
It's a tiny little guy. It's a tiny little dragon. And the picture is a little dragon on a branch. So that's how small we're talking here, folks.
Tiny.
Yeah.
And instead of sort of draconic wings, they have butterfly wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a theme throughout their history outside of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my God.
If I was to segue myself on into there.
All right, let's hear it, Tim.
So there's not a huge amount on them, but it's considered to be a more modern mythology because the dragons of old, the kind of more sweeping stories tended to be much larger creatures, and the smaller ones tended to get forgotten. So in the modern iteration of the Faerie Dragon, they are generally considered to be a much smaller dragon, generally no larger than reaching a human's shoulder. And they are often the size of insects. They can be as tiny as like a fly, which I was kind of surprised by.
So like a dragonfly.
Yeah, basically.
Almost the size of that. Yeah.
There's an example.
Because flies are smaller than dragonflies. So.
They definitely are. They definitely are. And they're typically given insect-specific wings. So you can have dragonfly wings or like bee wings or butterfly wings or any kind of wing that you can think of. One of the recent ones that I thought looked really cool was I saw a slow motion video of a ladybird taking flight.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like carapace opens up and then their wings like fold out. Like there's like a fold in the middle of the wing that flaps out, and then their wings are like twice their body length. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, ladybirds are like the original mecha. It's very cool.
They're crazy, man.
Yeah, they transform. It's cool.
They're carnivores. They eat aphids.
Yeah.
And they're going to eat you.
They will, if you're an aphid.
They do. They can bite humans.
What? Oh, jeez, I didn't know that.
They don't do it very often because it's not very useful for them.
Yeah.
But occasionally they'll just do it, and people are like, "What the fuck?"
Ooh, a ladybird! Ah! The pain.
The only example of a specific mythology from our worldly mythologies was in Greek mythology. There's a creature called a pyrausta, which is there's not much mythology about them, but they've been referenced a couple times as these four-legged insects. Why do I keep saying instinct instead of insect? These four-legged insects with filmy wings and a dragon's head. They're supposed to be specifically from Cyprus for some reason, and they exist in fire similar to salamanders, but when they leave the fire, they die. So they're like a kind of fire elemental, or like they only exist within the concept of fire, which is really, really cool.
That's probably going with like, you know the way you see flames and the like it sparks dance around.
Yeah, that's
probably comes from that, maybe.
I wonder, is it because the wood in Cyprus burned differently, and so that's where the myth came from?
Possibly. My thoughts on it were, because Greek mythology kind of was built from like the start upwards. Like it wasn't somebody sat down and wrote all of Greek mythology. My thought on it was that somebody wanted to imply the existence of like elemental creatures that were separate from the elementals, and implying the existence of maybe like elemental planes, which they don't go into in Greek mythology at all, because these things only exist in fire and are only perceived while in fire, so that they were suggesting this other realm. It's along the lines of the Spren in the Stormlight Archive, where there are these strange, spiritual, weird-looking creatures that come into being while there are powerful emotions going on or forces of nature at work. So that's what I got from that, from the Pyrausta.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I haven't read Stormlight Archive, so I can't say anything.
Neither have I.
It's good.
I can't read, so...
Oh, I'm so sorry. We won't ask you to read anything on the episode then, Daniel.
No, wait. That was a great segue, Tim, but I don't want to be, and I don't want to be teacher's pet here, but the producer did remind you not to bring your segue into the studio anymore.
But I love it so much.
I mean, I love it too, you know.
It keeps knocking into my knees.
Yeah, I know, yeah. That's why you're wearing shin guards, and like, this has come off.
It still hurts. It still hurts, though.
It still hurts. Yeah, it's a big thing.
It helps, but it hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
I feel like you have to wear knee protection when you're at work, guys. So like,
yeah. It's a weird outfit.
And like steel cap boots. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Skin tight jumpsuit, steel cap boots, and shin guards is the Creature Club uniform. I don't know why.
Yeah, you know.
Well, now we do, because of all these dangerous segues rolling around.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we've got dancers' belts on.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Very important.
Keep your pants up. Mm-hmm. Is that what dancers' belts do? Keep your pants up?
No, dancers' belts obfuscate your bits, basically.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The only other point about the Faerie Dragon in the real world is the Pyrausta connection. A person, an etymologist in the 19th century, I think, decided to name a genus of moth Pyrausta. Oh. And it's one of the largest genuses out there for moths, which is cool.
I would look up a picture right now on Google, but I don't like moths, so I don't want to.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
There are many hundreds of them.
I don't want to see a picture of that.
Yeah, 0 pictures, please.
Well, you don't have to. There you go. Although I saw one of them is called Pyrausta Antisocialis, and I was like, what the fuck? And there was no picture of it, so I guess he didn't show up for the photo shoot.
Yeah, didn't show up for the
Nice.
photo shoot.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that. But yeah, I just like glanced down this enormous list, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, Antisocialis."
There's an incredible number of species of moths in the world, and insects in general.
Astonishing.
I always thought they're just all they're all just the same. I never really paid attention to moths too much.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah, which is fair. But I think we've not got a huge number of species in Ireland because it's such a small country. But I think there are actually a huge number, and obviously, bigger continents allow for more insect variety.
Yes.
There you go.
Cool. Speaking of segues, I'm going to push Tim's segue over to Daniel here.
Thank you. Okay, now it's my turn. So watch your shins, everybody, because I'm bad on this.
Ow.
Gird your loins.
Sorry. And I'm going to drive this segue right into Monster Manual 2 from First Edition Dungeons and Dragons, because I'm going to discuss the history of the creature in the context of the game that we are talking about.
Because that's how history works. It goes real world mythology, second edition Dungeons and Dragons.
No, exactly. First edition Dungeons and Dragons, but Monster Manual.
Second
2.
Monster Manual, but that's a very understandable mistake. Because it is a nightmare of numbers.
Yes.
Edition numbers, but also book numbers, which are different.
If you're at like college and doing, let's say, like classical studies or something, what you do is you do the real world mythology first, and then you do Dungeons and Dragons, and then you read the book in year 3, and then at year 4 you just kind of freeform it yourself.
Year 4 is you have to run a classically inspired D&D game for your lecturer, and the quality of your campaign determines your final grade.
Yes,
excellent.
There you go.
I want to go to that college.
I don't.
Creature Club College.
So the Faerie Dragon first emerges in Monster Manual 2. There's a lot of, we think we've actually gone over them once before. Of course, Tim, you've locked away the memories, so I can't tell you in specific. In the Monster Manual 2, they discuss a lot of kind of variant dragons as opposed to true dragons, and one of those is the Faerie Dragon. It's unsurprisingly very similar to what we see here in 5th edition. It's a very small dragon. It has butterfly wings. Unlike the art from 5th edition, the 1st edition dragon has literal butterfly wings attached to a tiny lizard body with a really big head. And it can do everything that we're familiar with. It can turn invisible. It can fly. It has telepathy. It's more interested in pranks and being mischievous and cheerful than it is in kind of inflicting harm. Nice. The only the strangest thing it does, and this is very old D&D, so it has the euphoria breath that we will get to, which is its breath weapon, and it says that a victim of this will wander blissfully around for 3 to 12 rounds, during which time they will be unable to attack, and will have an effective armor class 10% worse than normal. So just calculate 10% of your armor class there and subtract it from the total. Like you couldn't just pick a number. Like,
do I round up or
quick
down?
maths?
17. So yeah, that was sort of, I think that was one of those moments where I was just like, man, this is just like, you really have to be comfortable with mathematics to just play this game. Like in 2nd edition, they simplify that to just say, you're in a state of bliss, you can't attack, and your armor class is decreased by 2, because it would almost always be 2 if you decreased it by 10%. So they just simplified it.
Great.
Other than that, in 2nd edition, they appear in the Monstrous Manual alongside lots of other variant dragons. I will say that they have the table of ages to level and color and that sort of thing that we see here in 5th edition, but the table is bigger and more complicated because of course it is.
Hooray.
So in the case of the 2nd edition, it isn't sufficient to say that the creature goes from, it's red colored and it's very young and it's at its weakest, and then it goes orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. It goes red, and then there's a separate category for red orange, which is between red and orange, which I'm almost positive is just orange. Like like I'm pretty sure once you get orange in red, it's like, okay, that's orange now. Like it was red, it's not anymore.
Let's have a quick Google of red orange right now. Is that real? Is that a color?
It's going to be a color corrected picture of an orange.
No, it's like it's like a blood orange that I'm getting a picture of here. Now red orange is like Here's the thing about colors, guys. I always say something's orange or something's red, and then I have someone say, no, that's magenta, that's red-orange, that's this and that. Like
Tangerine, Master Way.
someone in the colors community comes out to me and puts me on blast, you know?
The color police.
Getting cancelled by painting Twitter, yeah.
Yes.
And then I come out and say, nah, it's just grey, man. It's all grey.
Yeah.
Because I'm colorblind.
You are, yeah.
Not fully.
But this isn't me saying, screw you, colors, Twitter, but I'm just saying it, I guess.
You're all imaginary anyway, so shut up.
Yes. This is a community that doesn't exist. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, that's what they do in second edition. Their personality doesn't change. They like vibing in the forest. They like playing pranks. They don't hurt people unless they're defending themselves or their lair or like their allies. In third edition, it's the same with one interesting exception. The Faerie Dragon becomes small.
Okay.
Which is, as a reminder, like the size of a halfling. So like quite a bit bigger than they were previously.
Okay.
As opposed to, because they were minuscule in both previous editions. So they become kind of a dog-sized fairy for third edition. Other than that, their actual rules and description don't really change. Fourth edition, we get multiple fairy dragons and fairy dragon lore, which I will not read. Don't worry.
Oh.
Any lore?
No. We get the fairy dragon flitterwing and the wind gleam. And these two have different roles and different abilities. But other than that, for the most part, their personality is the same. Except they do keep the size increase. A fairy dragon is about the size of a dog. There you go. I said it.
Perfect.
What kind of dog, though? There's lots of different sizes for dog.
We're talking Chihuahua, St. Bernard.
Talking golden retriever or Shih Tzu, like
I'd say like kind of like, you know, approximately collie sized, right? Small is like size of a halfling, like a collie, like not like one of those big Bernese mountain dogs or whatever, but like
I saw a Burmese mountain dog the other day. Actually, that was a good dog.
oh,
Excellent.
they're great. They're so big. And then we get fifth edition.
Fifth edition. And speaking of fifth edition, I'm going to read out what it says here, and I might as well. It's not a whole lot, so I'm just going to read it out all for you guys.
Stop him.
Here's what it says in the book.
Arrest that man.
Okay, I'm arrested now. Okay, cool. See you guys.
He's going to continue reading from prison.
Wait. Can you stay in the studio with the handcuffs on? Because we need to finish the recording. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, I think I can do it. A fairy dragon. A fairy dragon is a cat-sized dragon with butterfly wings. It wears a sharp-toothed grin and expresses its delight by twitching of its tail. Its merriment fading only if it's attacked. Invisible tricksters. The only warning of a fairy dragon's presence is a stifled giggle. The dragons stay out of sight, watching invisibly as its victims contend with its pranks. When its fun is done, the dragon might reveal itself, depending on the disposition of its prey, inverted commas. So yeah, they're just little trickster guys. Just without kind of spoiling too much, I guess, it's chaotic good. So this thing is not really supposed to be much of a combatant. It's not supposed to kind of attack you too much. It's just kind of like a little creature that you have in your game. Maybe a good familiar kind of like thing, you know. So you might have like a fun encounter, but it might not be a combat encounter. So
nice.
Friendly and bright. A fairy dragon has a sharp mind, a fondness for treasure and good company, and a puckish sense of humor. Travelers can play to a fairy dragon's draconic nature by offering it treasure, quote unquote, in the form of sweets, baked goods, and baubles in exchange for information or safe passage through its territory.
Same.
I like the word baubles.
Baubles is good.
Baubles is a good word.
I've heard it many times before, but every time I see them, it's like, it's great. Like,
It's just very pleasant.
what's a bauble? Kind of like a trinket, like a
Like a Christmas tree ornament.
yeah.
It's sort of like it's just like a shiny bit, you know?
Yes.
It's kind of like just sort of, it's not necessarily super valuable, but it's kind of like, oh, it's shiny and bright and it kind of looks nice and it's distracting and kind of pretty.
Yeah, this second paragraph here kind of like, it sets up kind of a fun, if you have an encounter with it, it's probably like, you know, just wants to mess around with you. Maybe it'll let you through if you kind of give him some fun treasure, or just kind of like, you know, just play along with whatever he's doing, you know. The colors of age. A fairy dragon's scales change hue as it ages. Moving through all the colors of the rainbow, all fairy dragons have innate spell casting ability, gaining new spells as they mature. So as Dan said with the other editions, this is very similar to that. As it gets older, it changes colors. So I shall read out all the colors for you here. So red, it's around 5 years or less. Orange, it's 6 to 10 years. Yellow, 11 to 20 years. Green, 21 to 30 years. Blue, 31 to 40 years. Indigo, 41 to 50 years. Violet, 51 years or more. And that's it. So goes through all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Is that the rainbow?
Yes.
That's Roy G. Biv.
Thank you very much, Roy G. Biv.
Robert of York gave battle in vain.
Excellent.
He did.
Nice mnemonics. Mnemonics.
So yeah, and that's it for the writing on the Faerie Dragon. They're just a little playful dragon folk that just want to mess around.
Yeah.
No huge lore in 5th edition here. No historical battles and wars between fairy dragons and imps or whatever.
And Fey folk.
Yeah, and Fey folk. It's just like they're little guys that want to mess around. They like treasure. That's it. So I like
That's it.
It's short and sweet.
Nice. It's very flavorful for like a setting. If you go into the Fae, these are a handy little way to kind of set the tone for the world.
Yeah.
Or the realm.
I like the idea of them, like, maybe if you go into the Fae, then these guys might just steal your stuff from your pockets, maybe, and you might not notice it. Like, oh, where'd my keys go to my apartment? And then they did the Faerie Dragon took it.
And he's like, I live here now.
Yes. And then you find him in your apartment.
You finally make your way home. Yeah. Drinking all your beer and eating all your food.
You've rearranged my record collection.
Believe this.
I had it alphabetical, but you have it by album now.
No. Or they color coordinated it.
Yes.
Just like they're color coordinated.
Ah, makes sense. Okay.
It's strange that they decided to say that they're cat-sized instead of dog-sized.
I did think that as soon as Mikey read it, like they have literally been downsized.
They said they're dog sized so much, and now like they're cat sized now.
Yeah.
We're changing it. It's a new change to the lore.
Welcome to the new. This is the new setting.
Yeah.
I heard there was uproar when they announced the Faerie Dragon was cat-sized
yeah.
instead of dog-sized.
What?
Are we talking like Munchkin cat-sized, or are we talking like Bengal cat, or are we talking like big cats, like lions?
Yeah. Imagine like
Yeah,
you
come
said
on now.
cat sized, so it could be a lion. Oh man. Do you guys just want to go into the stat block?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right, let's go for it.
Faerie Dragon, tiny dragon, chaotic good. Armor class 15. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Hit points 14, 4d4 plus 4. Speed 10 feet or fly 60 feet. There you go. Now we're talking. Strength 3. So that's not so good. Ooh. Dexterity 20, Constitution 13, Intelligence 14, Wisdom 12, and Charisma 16. They've got 3 skills, just like me. Arcana, Perception, and Stealth.
Exactly like Dan.
I famously have 3 skills.
Yeah. You won't be able to find out.
Yeah, I retrained out of Stealth to take Streetwise, and then I got kicked out of 5th edition club.
All right. Yeah.
Senses Dark Vision 60 feet with a passive perception of 13. The Faerie Dragon speaks 2 languages, Draconic and Sylvan. It has variable challenge rating. It's challenge 1 if it's red, orange, or yellow. But it upgrades to challenge 2 if it's green, blue, indigo, or violet.
And presumably also it will be challenge rating 1 if it's red, orange.
Yes.
Red, orange, or orange, yellow, or... Now, the only question really is, what challenge rating is it if it's yellow, green?
Yellow, green.
Let me consult the 2nd edition manual and see what it says. Hold on to your belts, everybody. I know it's getting exciting.
Oh, boy.
Hold on to your dancer's belts. Call back there.
Yeah, that's good. That's real podcasting.
We're on top of those today.
Yeah.
So, apparently the yellow-green dragon has 11 to 12 hit points.
Okay.
And is considered an adult. At that stage, it goes from young adult to mature adult. I will never be a mature adult.
He can get a job now. He can live on his own. Get out of the house.
Start paying taxes.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I guess you'd have to split the difference and just say 1.5,
Yeah, fair enough.
Invent a new challenge rating.
They tried so hard to make a strict challenge rating system.
I'm going to make a new challenge rating today. Why?
It's actually the normal challenge rating minus 10%. So you want to calculate that.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to read the rest, or the next bit anyway.
Oh my god.
Superior invisibility. As a bonus action, the dragon can magically turn invisible until its concentration ends, as if concentrating on a spell. Any equipment the dragon wears or carries is invisible with it. I like that because you don't expect a fairy dragon to be carrying equipment, but you know that question would come up. You know, because like, well, invisibility can do this, so can this superior invisibility work in that way with the fairy dragon? If we give him a little sword or something,
a little jacket, a little backpack,
I think, like, what if, let's say, he had as familiar, and you're like, quick, hide this key that we stole off this guard, and then maybe the dragon can grab it and then turn invisible.
Smart.
And then they're like, where'd the key go? And then it's invisible. So something like that, maybe that might be fun.
Or if he's on his way from pranking a previous set of adventurers and he doesn't know what to do with his new stolen good, so it just disappears with him.
Yeah, very good. So it makes sense. So it goes with the trickster kind of energy it has. Limited telepathy. Using telepathy, the dragon can magically communicate with any other fairy dragon within 60 feet of it. Good stuff. So telepathy, but only to other fairy dragons. But that's cool.
Yes.
I like that. Magic resistance. The dragon has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects.
Cool.
Grant, that's fine. Solid. And here's some cool stuff here. Innate spell casting. The dragon's innate spell casting ability is Charisma Spell Save DC 13. It can innately cast a number of spells requiring no material components. As the dragon ages and changes color, it gains additional spells as shown below. So it gets more spells as it changes colors and as it gets older. So I will read out the spells. And if you guys know what spell does, just give us a quick little cliff notes as we go on. So, red, 1 day each. Dancing Lights, Mage Hand, and Minor Illusion. Those ones are pretty self-explanatory. Dancing Lights creates a light. Yeah. Mage Hand, you can grab stuff with a hand. Minor Illusion, you can make a minor illusion. Orange, 1 per day. It's Color Spray. Now, I'm pretty sure, is that an attack? Is that kind of like
Yeah, so Color Spray is like you do the cone of colors and it dazzles people.
Okay, right.
A dazzling array of flashing colored lights spring from your hand. Roll 6d10. The total is how many hit points of creatures this spell can affect. Creatures in a 15-foot cone originating from you are affected in ascending order and their current hit points. Ignoring them, starting the creature at the lowest current hit points, they are blinded.
Oh, good.
Till your next turn. So it's blinding for max hit points of 6d10, which is a pretty significant number, especially for
That's kind of like the sleep spell, but for blinding instead, kind of like the same kind of mechanics to it.
That's interesting.
All right, yellow. 1 per day, mirror image. So that's basically you create another image of yourself and it's harder to hit you.
Shadow clone jutsu.
Shadow clone jutsu, exactly. Green, 1 per day, suggestion. You can suggest people to do things that you want. So that'll be fun for tricksters. That'll be fun if the dragon wants to kind of make you play their game or something. Blue, 1 per day, major image. I actually don't know what this one does. What does this one do?
So major image. So minor illusion is you can make an illusion, but it has to be in a 5-foot box and it can't make any noise. A major image is a bigger, more effective illusion that can also do things like make a noise, and you can concentrate on it and use actions to continue to activate it. So you could, say, cast an image of a charging group of horses, because I think it's up to 15 feet square.
20.
And then you could sort of, as an action, order them to keep running forward, and it would make the noise of horses, and people would think horses are coming. It's like, it can recreate all of the senses as opposed to just being a visual illusion.
Okay.
And it can also affect a bigger area. Those are the kind of 2 advantages it has.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Indigo, 1 per day, hallucinatory terrain. I'm guessing that is kind of like another illusion spell, but even better.
Yeah, so it's basically lets you rewrite some terrain.
150-foot cube.
It's very long and complicated, but the shortest version of it is it lets you basically cast it over an area and like change the structure of some hills, or like make part of a forest disappear or appear more dense than it is, or that sort of thing.
That would have been good for my tournament arc. Crap.
Ooh. Well, now we know.
Now we know. All right. Violet, 1 per day, polymorph. So that one you get to transform into another shape, into another thing.
Into another beasts? Is polymorph beasts, and then super polymorph is everything else?
Yeah, I think so. So
super polymorph junior.
Super polymorph 64.
Yeah, polymorph is beasts specifically, and they have to be challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's level and or challenge rating, depending on what you target.
Cool.
And then true polymorph, which is the big one, lets you be anything.
Wow.
Anything.
Very cool.
And polymorph importantly affects your choice. You can either give it to yourself, you can give it to a willing ally, or you can actually force an enemy to attempt to polymorph. And obviously they can attempt to resist it if you do that, but you can, impose it on other people.
I like that. It's cool. So you get a collection of spells you can do as they get older. So
Yes.
yeah,
Progressively more powerful. It's kind of cool.
handy little spells to have for the fun little fairy dragon encounter. Tim, do you want to go through its actions?
I would love to, Mikey. Thank you
Go for it.
for the opportunity.
Do you want your segue back?
We'll give you
No,
a
I'm just
segue
gonna run into the wall of actions. I'm not gonna segue at all.
I understand.
back. Okay.
I'm going to use the bite action. Melee weapon attack, +7 to hit, reach 5 feet. 1 creature, hit, 1 piercing damage. So it'll nip you.
You don't even roll a dice.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
doesn't scale with the size of it or its age. It just always does 1 piercing damage.
fair. Okay.
Interesting.
That's real cat energy.
Yeah, it's really not a combatant at all. Just like a cat, just like it bites you once and you're like, ah, and then that's it.
Ah, you bastard.
Ah, yeah.
And then it runs away, giggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And its kind of iconic action is the Euphoria Breath, which is a recharge 5 to 6, which means if you use it, you have to roll a 5 or 6 on a 6-sided dice to be able to use it this turn. The dragon exhales a puff of euphoria gas at 1 creature within 5 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 11 wisdom saving throw for 1 minute. The target can take reactions and must roll a d6 at the start of each of its turn to determine its behavior during the turn. On a 1 to 4, the target takes no action or bonus action and uses all of its movement to move in a random direction. On a 5 to 6, the target doesn't move, and the only thing it can do on its turn is make a DC 11 wisdom saving throw, ending the effect on itself on a success. Weird that it has the different DC for its Euphoria Breath. Like, it's a Charisma caster because it's DC 13 for the rest of its stuff, but then it's a Wisdom caster for its Euphoria Breath for the +1 on a DC 11.
Or it might be based on, because it's its breath, it might be based on its constitution.
Possibly.
Because is that true for Dragonborn?
I know not. But yeah, that's its thing. It makes you run around, or I guess.
Or not.
or not. Or you, on a 33% chance, you just are fine with this, but you don't move.
A minor inconvenience, I guess.
It costs you your move to remove the euphoria effects.
Yes.
Fairy Dragon's Breath is now a drug in my D&D setting.
Very good.
You just sit there
You just vibe.
and then start walking in a direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I do Euphoria Breath, I just vomit. Yeah, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was the same the first time too, yeah. It's pretty normal.
It seems like with fairy dragons, there's no fight there, and that's absolutely fine. I don't think it's supposed to be like that at all. But like, its bite does a little nip. Its Euphoria Breath is a minor inconvenience, but it's probably enough to like run away. It's enough kind of like to spring on the party. And if it does work on the party, then it probably flies away instantly and runs away, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And its spells is just, most of the spells is just for like having a bit of fun by the look of it,
Yeah.
Maybe polymorph. It can turn into a big ape or something to attack you if your party can fight a big ape. And that's really it when it comes to that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the stat block?
I think it's consistent, bar the increase in damage from the bite. I think that's probably the only thing that I would do. Like, as it ages through the 7 stages of its life, I guess, maybe even just increasing it to the color that it is. Like, if it's a violet, make it 7 piercing damage, because you don't want to tilt the scales completely.
Yeah.
Because, any more than 7 damage for a challenge rating 2 is way too much.
Or just maybe give it like a D4 plus 1 or something for damage. Just have the option for a little bit more.
Yeah. Its stats not changing at all is a bit weird as it grows older. Like, the only thing that changes is its ability to cast specific spells or its challenge rating.
Yeah.
Its challenge rating doesn't even change. Its hit points don't even change. So
Yes. Yeah. I'd agree with what Tim said. It's consistent. I actually didn't mention this when I was covering it, but that ability, its limited telepathy, is a version of what it has in second edition. In second edition, it says all fairy dragons can communicate telepathically with one another at a distance of up to 2 miles.
Whoa.
They speak their own language along with the language of sprites, pixies, elves, and the birds and the animals in their area.
Oh.
Which I think is nice. But yeah, so like the idea that they can kind of mentally communicate with each other, they're maybe on the same wavelength, is sort of consistent. In terms of previous editions, the things that they change over colors, and colors representing the dragon maturing, much in the same way that we have hatchling, juvenile, young adult, adult, old, great worm, or whatever for regular dragons. The colors of the fairy dragon represent the same thing. And in previous editions, they increased health and also magic resist. Instead of being just a flat rule of you have advantage against magic, there was actually a percentage chance of magic failing.
Oh, cool.
And so their magic resist percent went up. By the time they were violet, they had 88% magic resist. So they would, on a 0 to 88, they would resist any spell cast on them. In some cases, they'd nullify it totally, actually, depending on the spell. And the other thing is the same as in this edition, which is that their level of spell casting would improve. The difference is that in previous editions, it didn't give them spell lists, and instead it just made them spellcasters of a certain level and gave suggested spells based on their habitat and how they live and how they like to act.
Interesting.
Very good.
Yeah, I think the only thing maybe I change is that, well, in the D&D 4th edition book, the fairy dragon doesn't appear in the monster manual. It appears in Dragonomicon Volume 1, Chromatic Dragons. And the reason I'm explaining this is because from 4th edition's perspective, the fairy dragon is chromatic because it goes between colors and isn't metallic.
Okay.
And in the context of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, all of the chromatic dragons had the common feature that their bite also dealt elemental damage. So that was the difference. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yep.
Chromatic dragons have elemental bites, whereas metallic dragons get 2 breath weapons. That's the difference, normally.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I would sort of say is, rather than saying that the bite has to deal more damage, I would say that it also inflicts the same euphoria condition that the euphoria breath does.
Cool.
So that it's as dangerous, and that maybe make the breath weapon a larger area so that it's still useful, so that it's not always just biting.
And it's almost like kind of like going with the bug theming of it, where it bites you and then you get infected with something like
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
a quick little euphoria.
Maybe you can have it grapple onto them with a bite, and then that makes them auto fail the saving throw, so that
Oh yeah.
taking a turn to bite and then next turn they use euphoria breath for like a kind of combo attack kind of thing.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Might be fun.
Or maybe, just maybe, we can talk about this in the next section. In dessert time.
Ring that dessert bell.
Yeah, let's move on to the next section because we're already kind of there. So, welcome guys to the third section of Creature Club, where we talk about how to use the monster and what we like to do with it. So, yeah, we're basically talking about how we would mess around with the stat block there and what we like to do with it. I feel like maybe a few spells could be put in there, a few more spells. A few more interesting spells, but I actually don't know the spells off the top of my head.
I think giving them something maybe a bit aggressive that like deals damage, or maybe something that like inflicts fear. I feel like dragons might have something along those lines, but I can't quite recall. But I feel like a fear condition, because they're pranksters, yeah, and they have fun. But if somebody comes at them more aggressive, for them to be able to like flick a switch and make the other person run away while they run the opposite direction, I think that would be a handy utility for them.
Yeah, because I guess the color spray is a very good theming of that, where it just like spits at you and you're kind of like, I'm blind, and then it probably runs away then or something, or does the euphoria breath and then you run away, because stuff like that, kind of like not exactly a fight where it attacks you and does damage, but kind of like it does a condition on you, and then it does like an ailment, if you will, and then it runs away. So it's kind of hard to catch, because I like him as like a, what if you're like, oh, we have to catch this fairy dragon, and then we have to find a way to catch it because maybe it has something that we need, and then you're like, you as the party have to try and figure out how to get it, but it's kind of hard to catch because it's a little tiny thing and he's good at running away, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that vein, there's a couple of spells from previous editions that it has. In second edition, it says one of the most common spells fairy dragons have is legend lore,
Okay.
Oh.
which
Wow.
immediately is an interesting idea that like fairy dragons have a magical ability to read into the history of objects.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the party need to find one.
That would make their like value in a game much, much higher than what it is in 5th edition.
Especially because of their low CR. So it's like even a very low level party could say, well, let's see if we can find one of these creatures and negotiate with it.
Yeah.
And then, that's the beginnings of a quest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you still have that cool rock you picked up the other day? But it's my cool rock. Yeah, but we need to find out what this item does.
Oh.
Okay.
Did you even remember you had the rock until I said anything?
No, but
Maybe.
Did you remember to pick it up when when I mentioned it to you? Did I have to do that? There we go.
But yeah, that's cool. Legend lore. That makes them pretty valuable. Especially if you're like doing an investigation kind of thing. Picking up things and understanding who has previously picked them up or where this thing has been to
Yes.
is super cool. And you'd let your party know that fairy dragons are a common way that investigators use to invoke this powerful spell. Even probably non-magic users would be like, oh yeah, fairy dragons are great for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and in that same vein, there's actually one of my favorite lines in the fairy dragons ecology, which is fairy dragons eat fruit, vegetables, nuts, fruits, honey, and grains. They are especially fond of fruit pastries and have been known to go to great lengths to get a fresh apple pie, which I just love. I love the idea of like,
Yeah.
you get like a weird tip of like, leave some fresh apple pie on your windowsill if you want to catch a
Yeah.
fairy dragon. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of bullshit. What are you talking about?
And then it basically the fairy dragon gets on the pie and then tries to drag it away, and then you just catch it with a net and like got him, get him, like a butterfly net.
Well, that stuck around in 5th edition with the friendly and bite thing, because you said treasure in the form of sweets, baked goods, and baubles. So baked goods is still there.
Yeah,
Yes,
It made it through the
it did.
size change.
it's definitely canon in my games now where fairy dragons like apple pie. I'm just gonna go with that. Like it's just
I like the idea that they there's like some weird specific thing like apple pie or like a rhubarb crumble or maybe whatever, like some regional dish. And it's like they're
Yeah.
mad for it. They're like it's literally catnip to them. If you want to keep going with the cat thing, like
I like regional dish because it's like maybe if you're in a different area and there's different fairy dragons and you're trying to get different bits of lore in
Yeah.
every area you go to. So you're like, all right, let's say Bakewell tart. Let's try that.
yeah.
Doesn't work out. All right, let's say cheesecake. That's not working either. Okay.
And then you can even have like a fun thing where maybe one of your players is a baker from another region. And they're like, oh, I could make a local dish and see if that wins them over.
Yeah.
And that lets them kind of, use their skills and abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interact with their backstory.
Exactly.
That's a very fun, like, little NPC moment of, like, if you want to summon a fairy dragon to help you with lore, make a pie for it.
Yeah,
Like,
literally,
it's
like, yeah.
I really like that.
Homemade apple pie.
That's actually great. That's actually a great idea.
I really am a fan of it. I love the idea that like they'll go to great lengths. It's just like I love that implication with like a creature that can cast quite significant magic and turn invisible almost indefinitely. It's like what does that mean? You could even have like a lighthearted adventure where like the baker is complaining that somebody keeps stealing their pies and they're like, what's happening? And you're like,
Oh, yeah, I like that.
maybe it's something dangerous. And then it's like, no, it's just a family of fairy dragons are gorging themselves in the basement. Like,
They're just really fat and then just in the basement. Because I like that though, because that's like a fun little first quest, and then
Yeah.
if you succeed in the quest, then you have a fairy dragon or fairy dragons that can help you.
Yeah.
At least after the end of that quest, like at least once, maybe more if you want to. But like you're like, oh, we can help you out. Like thanks for helping us out with however you complete the quest. But they're like, oh, how can we help you? Or like you can say, do you know where this is? Like, oh, actually we do. And then they lead you to somewhere else or something. Lead you to a cave or a ancient sword is or something. And yeah, it can be a fun little reward basically.
yeah.
Or yeah, it can be like we'll tell you where some really good treasure is if you let let us get away with this, and then you can have like a fable morality system going on there.
Very cool.
Big horn
decision.
or a halo.
Or a halo, yeah. But which one is the evil? Maybe the baker is the bad guy. And the fairy dragons are good.
Who can say?
I don't know. Up to you guys. Yeah, that's cool.
I think that the fairy dragon, as he is in 5th edition without using legend lore, would be a cool minion to have for like a kind of a mini boss, or even just like a big bad evil guy for a low level campaign. Because if your party marches into the place where this bad guy is and he has a bunch of fairy dragons, they can cast all of these spells. Like, you are resistant to level 1, DC 13, and DC 11 is like, yeah, middle of the road. That's like beginning to get challenging for a level 1, depending on your min-maxed stats. But like, if you get bombarded by like 10 fairy dragons using color spray, you're going to be blind, and then they're going to polymorph you, and you're just going to be a rabbit, and you're just going to have to sit there and listen to this monologue from this big bad evil guy.
That's fun.
Because he's going to explain his plan to you.
Yeah. Always like a villain monologue. I always like a bit of that before you fight.
Yeah.
And then you guys take off your shirts and then you fight. That's what happens.
Yeah, obviously.
Actually, here's a little thought experiment. Here's a little social experiment, if you will.
Okay.
How about this? Because we can't really do a matrix room with this guy.
No,
What Tim made me think about right there, and it's just a weird idea that came to my head. Put level 20 party versus, we'll go with 20 indigo fairy dragons. What's going to happen there? It might be a bit more now.
Level 20 times 20. Oh, God.
What's going to happen there?
I'd have to run 20 monsters.
Yeah. No, they're all the same monsters.
And the players have to run a level 20 character.
Yeah, but they're all the same monsters, so they all go at the same time. So that's
Well,
good.
I think what actually happens, to be honest, is it probably just depends on initiative. And then what happens is if any of the players get an action, the fairy dragons have 14 hit points each, and they don't resist any kind of weapon damage.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, sure, they resist spells, but, like, a level 20 wizard could just,
Fireball.
like, put a javelin through you, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you resist spells, because it's a level 20 wizard, so they've got, like, a +6 proficiency bonus with any weapon they're proficient with. They just shoot you with a light crossbow and you die.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, they
So I
could
guess,
use magic if they needed to, and it wouldn't, and your magic resistance wouldn't matter against a lot of half damage spells. But like, they could also just like shoot you with any, like, you know what I mean? Like, they could just body you. Like,
So it'll take a few turns and it'll just all be gone. All right, makes sense there. Okay.
I mean, I think I think the answer is that they would never fail a saving throw against the dragons because of the low DCs.
Yeah.
And the only thing the dragons can do about it is they can turn invisible,
Bite them on the ankles.
which it won't matter because they're level 20 characters. They'll probably have multiple ways to get through invisibility, including just taking the mischance and attacking.
Yeah.
Okay, I have disadvantage. I attack anyway. I've got +13 to hit because I'm a level 20 character. So I still hit because they have 15 AC. And then it doesn't matter that they are invisible. I deal full damage. So,
And only if it doesn't work then, they have plenty of magical shit in their inventory
God, yeah.
to possibly fight back at.
Yeah, so on a miss, my magic dagger activates and it attacks a secondary attack for free.
Yeah.
And
when my dagger gets bloodied, it enters demon mode, and then I'm able to channel the seventh moon into an enemy and transform them into a CR3 or lower fiend, which is friendly to me and my allies.
What day is it? It's a Tuesday. Okay, cool.
Okay, so then it's CR7, sorry.
Oh, it's a Tuesday? Oh, well then none of them can use invisibility because of my anti-invisibility aura.
Well, it is a February, so maybe that's a bit
no, you're
different. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I have to reread all of my notes now.
Oh, it's February? Well, then the paladin's dead, so actually we surrender.
Oh, yeah, we should, actually.
And then I scream for the end my turn.
Perfect.
A fine move.
That happens. If you guys have done that at home, please let us know.
Level 20 party versus 20 fairy dragons. I'm sure everyone's done that.
If you just happen to have done that, please let us know. We want to hear from you. Call now. Cool, guys. That's cool. Any campaign ideas for Faerie Dragon? Any other quick little ideas we can throw into the barrel of Creature Club?
Garrel of Bass.
Not specifically.
The Garrel of Bass.
Campaign ideas with this creature? No, not even slightly.
Yeah.
Except for a magical mishap occurs and all of the players are turned into fairy dragons.
That's fun. I like that.
Or a magical mystery where all the pie has disappeared.
Yeah.
I already said
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was.
you're right. It's that memory thing going weird with me again. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't believe I can. Yeah, I don't think there's any really. This isn't really a campaign creature.
It ain't. No.
No. They're like minions or flavor for whatever area that you're doing, you know? Like, oh, these beautiful multicolored dragons are flying around you and trying to trip you up, and you find yourself walking in weird directions when you smell their breath. Like, oh, Jesus, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I do like the idea of it tricking a first level party or something by
Yeah.
like maybe it's kind of like a fairy where maybe if you're going to like its little domain or something and it's like you're trying to get out and then it's using like hallucinatory terrain to kind of you're going around circles or something and you're like you're going through a forest but you can't get out and then this fairy dragon is like, you know, I guess the master of this little tiny little because he just wants to mess with you. And then he's like, give me all your treats. And you're like, we don't got any treats. And then we got to make some treats, guys. And then
We only have rations.
Gotta bake a pie.
and then your party has to make a pie or something, you know, something, or like, you know, answer these riddles 3, something like that might be a bit of fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's just messing with you.
Yeah. And the fairy dragon's lair actions occur when it uses hallucinatory terrain and it builds its own lair around you. And you're like, what is going on here?
I do like the idea of fairy dragon lair actions. I like that.
CR1 monster lair actions.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, if that's something we're interested in, there's an extra fairy dragon in the second edition book that doesn't exist in any other edition of the game.
Ooh, secret monster. I like this. Must be good.
Final evolution of the fairy dragon. So, as I mentioned, there's more age categories because it's second edition and there just is. So it has all of the ones we have here with some intermediate ones, but instead of ending at violet is a worm, but there's also a great worm, which in this case is a black fairy dragon. At that stage, it is able to cast 8th level magic and is basically impervious to other people's magic. So it is like a spellcaster on par with a 16th, 15th level PC.
Damn.
Which is pretty significant. At that stage, it's able to cast some pretty dangerous spells.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is really interesting that for whatever reason, this age category only exists in second edition. The only thing I'm a little apprehensive about is that it's the Great Worm. It's the final version of the Fairy Dragon, and it's black when I thought it should be like white because that's the colors of the rainbow. You know?
Yeah, that makes more sense to me.
So that's the only thing I change is that basically if a fairy dragon gets old enough, it doesn't have any color anymore because it's all of the colors of the rainbow put together.
Yeah.
Maybe it's basically blindingly bright at that stage and is also like impervious to magic and is like an incredibly powerful spellcaster. Whether that's going to be something that informs a campaign in the sense of like it's the focus of one, or whether it's just, you know, making a fairy dragon relevant again to higher level players, because as we said, if it can cast legend lore, then once the players are a high enough level, that's not really useful to them anymore. But maybe if it can cast even higher level magic, if this is like the elder fairy dragon, as I think we've mentioned before in Mikey and our setting, that the idea of a great worm is like a title.
Oh yeah.
Like, so there's only ever one great worm of each color and each metal, I guess, because it's not an age category. It's like, if you are the strongest dragon, you are the great worm. And so in that same vein, maybe it's like if there is a strongest fairy dragon, or maybe because they're measuring on a different metric. If you're the trixiest fairy dragon, you are the great worm. And maybe some like high level, slightly more low stakes adventure for a high level party is like pull a prank on the great worm of fairy dragons.
Nice.
And then your party becomes the Great Worm, or like kind of an honorary, like, you are the honorary Great Worm because you pulled a prank on me.
Yeah. Until you are pranked by some other fairy
and then
dragon.
they give you the medal, and then like you look down, you've been pantsed, and then like no,
Instantly take the medal off you.
One of them goes to pin the medal on you, and you look down, and they flick you in the nose, and you're like, get pranked.
No!
No! It happens in slow motion.
Yeah.
I like that. That's fun. That's
We've prepared your provisions for your travel. Hands you your bag. You've been bagged.
Oh, shit.
I can't open it up.
What can I do? Where's the zipper gone?
The zip's inside. Yeah.
Ah, lovely. Good stuff.
Whatever. Let's leave it there. That's good. That's a good place to stop it. That's fun. That's fun. Fairy dragons. They're fun little guys you can throw into your games to have a nice light-hearted adventure.
What kind of adventure?
I'm Lightheart Ed. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to this podcast on fairy dragons. We are Creature Club, and if you want to, you can subscribe to us on whatever listening platform you are using. That helps algorithms feed us with more ears. Not that it sincerely matters. We just think it's cool when we can share all of this knowledge with whoever wants to hear it. And we'd like to let people know that they have the option to listen to a bunch of Irish lads rambling about, I don't know, what did we talk about? Mostly dragons. I don't know.
A lot of dragons, a lot of demons and devils too.
A lot of dragons.
A lot of dragons. You can subscribe directly to the RSS feed if you don't feel like going through an app, and you can just get them straight into your device.
Ears.
I believe that's how that works.
Yes, that is how it works.
You can go to our website, creatureclubpodcast.com, and you can see anytime we upload. If you want to contact us, we have a contact form where you can send us any reviews, or you can send us homebrew, because we do a homebrew special every once in a blue moon, which are always great fun. And we have a couple in the chamber, but if people have some that they've been holding out, I think a couple more would be cool. Like,
we can always take more and use them later.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Or we can always record a bumper episode where we have two in the bank or something, and we can get them. We'll definitely talk about them if you send it to us. Don't worry.
Certainly.
That's the Creature Club guarantee.
Yes.
There you go. Alternative to that, you can contact us directly at our email address, creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com. Or for your shorter form things, you can talk to us at Creature Club Pod on Twitter, or you can just search Creature Club, and we're usually among the top ones to pop up.
Yeah. We are.
Creature Club Podcast, and we will be there. You would recognize the same logo and stuff as you see on the podcast you listen to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And also, something that we like to get, if you can, on whatever podcasting app you use, we always like a review.
Oh, yes.
Because reviews are handy. It's good to have testimonials when you have a small business like Creature Club Podcast,
Yeah. A mom and pop.
It ain't much, but it's honest work.
It's honest work.
Indeed.
And speaking of reviews, Tim's, have we got any reviews?
Tim's reviewed the podcast. Tim, tell us what you think.
Let me consult with the Council of Tims.
Yep, obviously.
We have actually 2 reviews, one of which is exceptionally short, but I will allow you guys to fight amongst yourselves to decide who will read the short one, while I read out the slightly longer one.
Dan, do you want to read out the short one?
Sure, I would, but I mean, I don't want to take it from you.
All right, okay, fine. I'll do it myself then. Here's a review, guys.
Mortal Kombat.
Sorry, we kind of let you down there.
Imagine Mortal Kombat, but they just don't fight.
Yeah. Do you want to fight? Do you want to win this fight? Yeah, okay.
All right.
All right, you win.
Oh, no. Fatality. All right, here's some recent review that we got from J Nickname Review via Apple Podcasts. And it's a 5-star review. Great cracking podcasts. Worth feeding the algorithm. And the review is, good work, chaps.
Beautiful. That is so succinct and perfect. Yeah. Use a comma.
Thank you.
No need for a full stop. That is just perfect.
It's good work, Josh. Thank you so much. The algorithm has been fed.
Yeah, exactly. I understand that as the work of somebody who's like, I don't really like. I wouldn't be the kind of person who'd write a review because it's a load of work, and I mean, who could be asked? But I'll do it, and I appreciate that because that's not nothing.
Yeah. Because we say that we appreciate the reviews and we appreciate the the ratings and stuff to help it helps us on whatever podcasting app you use. And this person here is just like, yeah, I'll help you out, and then just put in the review and send in some nice words to us, and there you go. That's it. That's all we need. That's cool. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
So, an example of a more fleshed out review is one from Pro Goal via Apple Podcasts in the United States of America.
Do you know him then, Tim? Because you're in the United States of America.
You know him?
I don't know him personally, I don't think.
But you'd know him to see him, like.
I'd know a professional gull if I saw it in the street, I feel like.
There you go. Fair enough.
But yeah, so
how do you know if they're professional? If they take your chips, or if they
actually have a badge, a little purple badge that they hide under their under their wing.
They still take your chips.
Yeah. That's how you can tell a pro goal. Fun facts. They do. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's fine.
They'll usually be the first one to get chips.
Well, they're professionals, Mikey, so they're the best at what they do. You know, they're getting paid for it.
They get paid for it.
I don't know if people realize who listen to the podcast about there's something about Dublin in Ireland that people not realize, but the seagulls in Dublin are like menaces. They're you think seagulls are bad? The Dublin seagulls are bad. Like
seagulls and oyster catchers. Those are the two kind of menaces.
Yeah. Yes,
they're great. They're so evil. I love it.
They're evil, and they would take your chicken fillet roll out of your hand.
They'd snatch it from your children's hands, you know?
Out of your mouth.
And if that is not a quintessential Dublin experience, I don't know what is.
So that guy said, stop your hunt, space, set your camp here, exclamation point.
Excellent.
Tim, please be nice to the people reviewing us.
I wouldn't be me if I was perfectly sweet to them. I have been hunting for a solid podcast on Dungeons & Dragons resources for a while. This one should be on top of your lists if you like a deep dive into the fauna of Dungeons & Dragons. Excellent mix of info and banter. I am running a campaign for a handful of kids, including my own, with ages from 5 to 10 and another dad. The littlest are fairies and can pop out when combat gets too intense or they get bored.
That's a great idea.
It is also great fun when they are used as scouts for the party and I get to whisper info to them to pass to the rest of the party. Keep up the great work. Trevor from Maine. There he goes. He even gave us where he's from.
So do you know Trevor from Maine then, Tim?
I wouldn't know Trevor from Maine from Trevor from Philadelphia, so...
No, that's...
I don't know.
Fair enough.
All right.
Right. I'd recognize him if he was a gull. Maybe it's a pro gull from Maine whose name is Trevor.
If you were in Maine and you saw a gull... Actually, no, wait. Maine is on the coast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see a gull with a lobster, then that's a gull from Maine.
If you see a gull with a license in Maine, tell them thanks for the review.
Yes. Perfect. Well, yeah, thank you very much, Pro Goal, Trevor, for leaving that delightful review.
Yeah, and that's a great idea for playing with young people. And maybe you could substitute. I don't know what kind of kids they are, but maybe they could substitute out the fairies for fairy dragons.
There you go.
If any of them get a taste for it, maybe after watching some Dragon Prince or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I hope your game's going well. I hope I hope you're having a lot of fun there. It's always fun to get them started early and to have a bit of fun with D&D. Get them hooked.
Yeah, I started very late. I was 16 when I played my first game.
I started very late. I was 20 when I played my first game.
You were 20?
I think so.
You ran the first game that I played.
I wasn't 16.
I was 16.
No, what? No.
You was 4th edition.
Oh, God, his memories.
No, I was the first time I played, I was in college.
Oh, I might be having someone else's memories. This memory thing is a strange situation.
That memory remembers something.
The first game I played was a game by Daniel, was Godlike, and I think that was a bit before college. So that might have been 17, 18. I don't know.
Did you play with us when we played Godlike, Tim?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
If you want to hear about that, just listen to another... We talked about it before. We don't need to talk about it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for the lovely review there, Trevor from Maine. That is, I hope your game's going well, and I hope you have enjoyed. Thanks for listening, and thank you very much for the other review, J review name. J nickname review? Thank you very much for the excellent 5-star review there, and it's always good to read less.
To the point.
And would you know?
Yeah.
No, and would you know J nickname review, Mikey, to see him?
Actually, I do. Yeah, mate of mine.
Oh, fair enough.
very nice.
Lives in the house with me here.
I was thinking he was probably local. Yeah, I was trying to remember, but that makes sense. He lives with you. That's why I know him. Yeah,
we both live in the shack, and we play Settlers of Catan every single day.
You do,
and that's it.
Yeah,
his review was the exact opposite of what our podcast is. His was succinct and to the point, and
Yes,
just easy to read, easy to keep up with.
Yeah.
Perfectly written.
That's not our
it's the end of the podcast. No one listens to this point. Like it's
No,
fun.
everyone's gone at this point.
Only the cool people stick around to this. If you're here, guys, you're cool. All right, you're the cool guys if you listen to this.
Are they?
Cool people. Yes, Tim. All right.
Okay.
Mikey from Creature Club says you're cool. All right. You can put that on the back of your truck. Cool. You can wrap this up, Tim, if you so wish.
Me? You always wrap it up.
Oh, I do. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to Creature Club Podcast, everybody. Next episode will be about something else. I have been Mikey.
I have been Tim.
And I've been Dan.
Stay cool.
I'm actually feeling faint after laughing that hard.
So good. Ridiculous bunch of lads we are.
Yeah.
What a ludicrous display.
Have you seen that ludicrous display? All right.
Me too.
All right, cool. Get settled.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I forgot my book.
Shut up.
Can I go to my
Hello
locker?
and welcome.
Whomstava is reading.
You, Daniel.
Oh,
Go for it, Dan.
I shouldn't
Read
have
the
said anything.
Read the first bit. The first bits
Yeah,
anyway.
spoke
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I did. I spoke up. I spoke my mind.
It's very much a he who smelted Delta's kind of energy with that one.
Yeah.
Like he who like said it has to read it now.
Yeah.
The next episode is just going to be pure silence after we decide to move on for like 10 minutes.
15 minutes of tense silence, followed by nothing but swearing. Let's see here. Faerie Dragon.